You are now listening to On Air with Lewis Hunter.
Hi there, welcome back to On Air with Lewis Hunter, where we go into the lives of celebs, professionals, and behind-the-scenes workers of your favourite TV and film. Join me as we go into their lives to find out what it's like to be one of them. Today we are finally back with Adam. How are you doing?
Grand.
Grand, yeah. You know, you had, a month off? But you're back.
You know,
Due to unforeseen circumstances, last week's episode did not take place, but coming into episode 18, which should have been 19, but we'll say nothing, we are back with mostly random info, as always. So,
and Among Us.
And Among Us, we can never escape that, to be quite honest. But we'll get into that one on later on the show. So, first of all, before we get into it, how's your wee holiday been, Adam?
Holiday's been, all right. I've just been doing my own thing, busy, but doing my own thing.
And how's work?
Work's going all right, so it is.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember you telling me a different story yesterday.
I can't talk about this.
Yeah, no, it's probably better we move on. So,
yeah.
First up on the show for topics, we have Johnny Depp and his court case. So, Adam, you seem to know all about this, so take it away.
Yeah, so obviously, Johnny Depp's in a multi-million-dollar case against Amber Heard for defamation due to her allegations against him. I think it was a couple of years ago. And it was on the case of he assaulted her allegedly. She came out with these bruises, all this sort of stuff, yet it was all shown to be makeup. And an audio recording came out, and then Johnny Depp pushed for a case, which he finally got sorted, and they're actually in court right now. I think they've been in court for the last week.
Yeah.
And it's just been a mess with, the lawyers that she has are terrible. Like they've asked Johnny so many random questions, and I've interrupted him so many times and have contradicted themselves. Like one of the times was what was it? Yeah, they're saying, yeah, we're trying to keep the court's time here, and yet they took 5 minutes to find a piece of evidence. And he called them out on it. He was like, well, next time you look for 5 minutes for evidence, you know what I mean? Won't take this long. But yeah, no, I do hope that she does get done for this, because everybody knows for a fact that he didn't do this to himself, or he came out with actual bruises and swells while she came out with makeup. And she also had, was it makeup artist friends and stuff like that got some of her things done. And one of the things that Johnny had was that they were arguing or something, and he bear hugged her because she was hitting him, just to stop her hitting him. And no, he said he felt no connection whatsoever, yet she came out of the bathroom with like this bloody tissue. So he checked it, and it was nail polish on the tissue. It was disgusting. But yeah.
It's all for the money, isn't it? Especially up in Hollywood. I'm just surprised that they're broadcasting the court case. Like, usually that's not really what happens. Usually they just draw out what happened.
Well, sometimes they'll do this, especially when it's something as big as this here, but it's mental. Like, they did the same thing with Mark Zuckerberg during his, and that's why everybody said he looked like an alien or a robot.
He does.
Yeah, he really does. Like, I'm sorry, who drinks water like the way he does? If you haven't seen that yet, check it out on YouTube. Like,
he's not from this world, like.
Yeah, no, he is definitely something else. But I do
Back
think,
on topic.
Yeah, I do think that Johnny Depp will win this case, because there's no way, with the way her lawyers are going, there's no way she can win this. Like, she's tried to fake cry. She's spent like minutes trying to get evidence together for something that didn't happen. As well as that, her reporter friend got kicked out of the courtroom because they were passing notes to each other. So she's now permanently banned from that court.
No, it's just shocking. It really is shocking what people do for money these days, to be honest with you. Like, she's definitely a multi-millionaire and she's just trying to get more money. Like, be happy with what you've got. There's people that like sit on the streets and they don't have that money, but they don't bother. But yet you're just trying to get another couple mils. Like,
yeah, and it is kind of messed up.
Scummy.
Like,
it's scummy.
Yeah,
that's what it is. It's just,
hopefully it gets sorted out.
Yeah, 100%. Now, moving on to a topic we seem to never be able to escape these days. Like, we are trapped. And I promise you, we don't have any affiliation with these, but they just keep coming back. And this is Among Us. Now, Among Us and PUBG seem to have a collaboration. So, Adam, that's all yours once more. So, take it away.
Yeah, so before even Fortnite could touch the depths of that pit that somehow still exists, PUBG grabbed its greasy fingers and started touching Among Us as games,
Because
and
it's on
had
Game Pass.
probably, but the PUBG has now got an Among Us crossover that gives the player, like helmets and clothing and backpacks, and it is horrifying. Like the fact that this is a reality. I never ever like Fortnite. Yeah, I could understand that because it's a cartoon game, but PUBG, never in my life would I ever see those two games cross over.
It sounds like it'd be so scary. I'm currently trying to search this up. Like, it genuinely sounds like a horror movie.
Yeah, like like there's a male one which has like a red trench coat with a red t-shirt and a red helmet with like some sort of like green leaf at the top of his head. The yellow one's like a more feminine costume, with like like the yellow sort of visor across the chest, and then you have the actual hazmat's helmet on top, and then the blue one's just a more masculine version of the yellow one, with cargo trousers and like another visor across the chest. But it's weird to see that this is a thing. Like I'm going to check it out, not to buy it, but I'm going to check it out.
I mean, I genuinely do see why they done it because, like, the helmets in PUBG do look quite similar to an Among Us mask in a sense. Now, I
Yeah.
can't seem to find any sort of thing on this on picture wise, but it must be there somewhere.
It's New State Mobile. It's called, so it's PUBG's New State Mobile. If you need to look it up that way, but it is mental. Like
What do you mean, New State Mobile?
it's called PUBG's New State Mobile.
Oh, there we go. Found it. Yeah, that's just weird.
Yeah, like you have like the biker helmets as well, some of the backpacks and gloves. It's and the AR as well and the face mask. Oh my,
It
it's
doesn't really look Among Us though.
no, it really doesn't. Um,
Like, it would have made more sense to put PUBG items into Among Us rather
yeah,
than vice versa.
but yeah, no, it's not the way that happened, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, that is very weird. And like even the animations on screen, it's like crewmate, there's an imposter Among Us and all in the game. Oh dear. But moving on to Among Us once more. And this is Among Us VR. So
Oh,
we announced a new trailer, yeah.
yep.
And what does that entail?
So it's shown us a bit more of the gameplay, and one thing that I'm actually really excited for is the proximity shot. That was a mod within the main game itself, but now has been added to the VR version of the game, which will be absolutely beautiful. It's shown like, the actual gameplay with people walking about and talking to each other and pointing fingers and all sorts of stuff. And it looks absolutely great, wacky, just dumb fun that I could play while I'm drunk. That's it.
Well, I mean, I don't have a VR, so if you want to buy me that, Adam, go ahead. Like,
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it'll support like people with non-VR headsets. I would assume the way the likes of VR chat does.
Maybe. I don't know though. I mean, you already have the Among Us, like the top down one, but I guess we'll see when it releases if they'll do something like that.
Yeah, like if VR chat can do it, surely they can. Because there's gonna be people
I
that have the headsets but don't have like the controllers.
Yeah. Well, wait. Well, are you talking about the Samsung VR ones?
I'm just talking about any VR. Like there's obviously some people are gonna have VR headsets but don't have like the wee handles with them that like
Wait,
allow.
where would you get something like that?
Well, if you bought a second hand or something, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you can't really play any game without it. To be
Or
fair,
like,
but
as you said, the Samsung one, or like if
yeah.
you have a Google Cardboard board or something, something like that.
Well, yeah, yeah.
They have to sort of support that too,
hmm
especially because it was originally a mobile game, really.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they'll do it, but if they have support for people with non VR headsets, that would be quite good. I think it would revive the game because it's a new form of the game we haven't yet seen.
Yeah, no, like it will be pretty cool to sort of see that. And my brother has a VR, so I'm definitely going to have to rob his.
Yeah, bring it in the
Um,
tech.
I just rob it, bring it at tech, and then start playing
Yeah, you genuinely should. It'd be so funny. So, moving on from that topic, we have FIFA Team of the Season. Now, Adam actually reminded me of this. I know Adam, who knows nothing about football,
it.
somehow he brought up FIFA's Team of the Season. So, at the end of every year, coming up the end of April, start of May, FIFA release their Team of the Season for each of the top 5 leagues and the rest of the world. So, 2 days ago, the community team of the season was released, and as of yesterday, well, not released, but the vote was released, and as of yesterday, the Premier League vote of the season was sorted out. So for goalkeepers, you have Allison, Aaron Ramsdale, Jose Sa, Ederson, David De Gea. For defenders, you have Virgil van Dijk, Andrew Robertson, Yao Cancelo, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Ruben Diaz, Kyle Walker-Peters, Joel Matip, Kyle Walker, and Christian Romero. Then for midfielders, you have Kevin De Bruyne, Bruno Fernandes, Bernardo Silva, Bukayo Saka, James Ward-Prowse, Fabinho, Rodri, Martin Odegaard, Declan Rice, Bowden, Rafinha, Conor Gallagher, Ben Rama, and Gundogan, as well as Ruben Neves. Then you've got for attackers, Cristiano Ronaldo, Harry Kane, Heung-min Son, Raheem Sterling, Sadio Mane, Mo Salah, Phil Foden, Raheem Mahrez, Ivan Toney, Diogo Jota, and Mikel Antonio. So that was your nominations. You have the vote until, I believe, Sunday, and then it moves on, I believe, to the Bundesliga Team of the Season votes. So the Premier League one, I believe, comes out early May. Community comes out, I believe, next week. So it's quite exciting. It sort of brings the end of FIFA in a sense. And then after that, everyone's just got OP teams, and it just doesn't really matter anymore about FIFA. It's more just about enjoying and trying out players. But this season has been of FIFA has been different. Like, it's a lot easier to get players. It's a lot easier to sort of have teams you could never really afford before. So I don't know what they're going to do with it this year, to be honest with you, because players are already like end game players. Like my team, for example, it's so opaque it lasts till like FIFA 23. It doesn't really make sense what they've done with it this year. But I'm excited to see what they'll do with it, to be quite honest with you. I'm sure Adam, you are too.
Oh yeah, no, I'm super excited. I learned that what that word meant. Never mind. No, what's going on?
You just guessed it and you were spot on.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm too smart for this world sometimes.
That's debatable. That is very debatable. So, moving on to another football subject. Manchester United have appointed Erik ten Hag as manager of Manchester United as of today. The interim manager, Ralf Rangnick, has spoke about it as he's going into the backroom staff, as it was put into his contract when he joined the club. He's looking to get rid of the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo as soon as he arrives, because he doesn't really like working with big players. He likes working with sort of smaller players that aren't as well known, that have potential. Wayne Rooney's spoke well about him. So has Ralf Rangnick, Marcus Rashford, Pep Guardiola has even spoke well about him, the Manchester City boss, as when Pep Guardiola was at Bayern Munich. Erik ten Hag was managing the Bayern Munich second team. But, since Erik ten Hag went to Ajax, he's done a lot for Ajax, and he's a very exciting manager. I'm very excited to see what he's like. He's an absolute baller on the training pitch too, which is always good. I mean, not for us because he can't play, but he's very, very good. He wants to sign a few players already. He sort of spoke about signing Pau Torres and Christoph Nkunku as well. I believe he's going to be at the Arsenal game to watch on Saturday, so today of recording, but he doesn't join until the summer. There's a 2 million clause in the deal that they basically had to pay to get him out of Ajax, but he's accepted all the conditions and he's more than happy. So it's better than what we have as currently as manager. Ralf Rangnick, he's better in the back room than what he is up front. I was excited to see him join the club, but I'm excited to see him not be a manager now. So it's very, very exciting times for Manchester United. He's sort of a manager that doesn't bring in the big players in a sense. He likes to rebuild teams and bring them to glory that way. He likes to work with academy products, etc. So, as I said, I'm very, very excited about this. This was basically confirmed today by the club yesterday for listeners. And his deal is until June 2025 with an option to extend a further year, although I doubt he'll make it to that because most Manchester managers do not make it that far. And Wayne Rooney will probably be the next to step into the role as manager at Manchester United. So next up, we've got another football sort of related, but sort of not. And this is Castro1021, a famous FIFA Twitch streamer, has signed for the talent agency CAA. These have personalities and athletes of the likes of Zendaya, Cristiano Ronaldo, Heung-min Son, Rafael Varane, Carlos Ancelotti, etc., as well as some women's players and, soccer players in the MLS, football players in America, basketball, baseball, tennis, you name it, they have it all. They're the biggest agency in the world. So they've signed him. They signed Jacksepticeye, I believe it was, at the end of last year. And they signed a Twitch streamer that became quite big on Valorant recently. So it's quite interesting. They're going down the esports route in a sense and just, live streaming. But I suppose that's where everything's going in these days and age, isn't it, Adam?
Yeah.
Nicely delayed one there. So it's
I know,
interesting
Chuckle.
times.
Sorry, you couldn't hear from my mic, but yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting times. It's interesting times, to see where talents agencies are going and how the world's changing to be around esports and basically just video games.
Yeah, no, I mean, a lot of the views are coming off that sort of thing. In terms of, especially during the Oscars. I mean, people aren't watching the Oscars anymore. It's all just YouTube, Twitch, video game, that sort of thing. And I don't know. A lot of the esports, like you're saying, is becoming widely popular with that sort of thing. And I'd say it'll take over things like that at a certain point.
I don't know if it'll ever take over football/soccer, and the bigger sports.
I don't know. I think eventually it might, give it a few generations, maybe.
But it's just not the same. Would you have 100,000 people packed into a stadium? No. You don't have to buy tickets. It's not a sense of revenue that the likes of football does.
Yeah, I suppose. Well, in terms of revenue, football would always earn more. But in terms of esports, I think that maybe, the popularity, it was start to grow.
But it's the difference between being at a sports game, with the crowd, the atmosphere, and watching these players play and sitting at home on a laptop and watching these players play, Even just watching a football game on your TV just isn't the same.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, don't get me wrong, I don't watch esports myself, right? I can't speak for myself, but I know a lot of people that would because they're interested in that sort of area.
Oh yeah, no, I used to watch Rainbow Six Siege esports nearly every week, and whenever they were doing the US Opens and whatnot for that, and I watch a lot of the FIFA esports things like the Champions League and the Premier League esports, but it's one of those things where the commentators, they're just people that sit at home and play FIFA. Or play Siege. They're not these big athletes. And yes, they do have the likes of some ex-footballers like Thierry Henry or Ian Wright or, Alan Shearer that come on and talk on them. But it just doesn't feel the same as having the pundits in the stadium talking, players walking out, the atmosphere, the games. And as planned, I'm going to Rangers versus Leipzig semi-final at the Ibrox of Europa League because that's a big thing for British football, Scottish football in itself.
Yeah,
to have a Scottish club make it to a European semi-final, whether it be Rangers, Celtic, it doesn't matter. It's a big game to play giants, to knock out Borussia Dortmund, to knock out Braga, to knock out all these big clubs and make it to where they are. And I will be at that game, fingers crossed, if I get the tickets. And the atmosphere there will be, apparently it's one of the best atmospheres in world football, and you wouldn't get that at an esports game. You just wouldn't get that atmosphere.
I'm not comparing them and saying they're the same thing. They're not. But in terms of popularity, I can see them growing. Like, you think back in 2013 when, the popularity started picking up, it still wasn't overly amazing. But yet now we have things like Snoop Dogg joining FaZe, like out of the
That's
blue.
true.
We have Godzilla and Kong coming to Warzone. Like it's insane the amount of stuff that's coming to it.
Yeah, and I suppose even if you look at Fortnite, which is somehow still kicking about,
Mhm.
you've had Marvel, you've had
Yeah.
Sony with Spider-Man, you've had so many mashups. Like I went on to Fortnite for the first time in what, like 2 years the other day, and Dance Monkey was in the item shop. Like, and I loaded into a lobby and there was Dua Lipa singing.
Yeah.
And I was just like, why is this happening? It's a video game. It's not a concert. It's weird where this is going, but it's all monetary reasons. Like they wouldn't do it without the backing of the funds, I suppose.
Yeah, no, I
I think a big step towards esports getting to where it was is the Fortnite World Cup they had a few years ago, where it was like a £1 million prize pot. And I played esports for a while, and I went to the National Stadium to play an esports tournament in the actual
Mhm.
football stadium in Northern Ireland. And you've seen that, it was evolving. Like to have that in the National Stadium itself was pretty breathtaking. But at the same
Mhm.
time, they had it in a stand. It wasn't on the pitch. It wasn't anywhere fancy. And
Yeah.
you can just see it slowly but surely going towards something. And I played in like the Northern Ireland qualifiers for FIFA and etc. Because I'm definitely up there with one of the better players when it comes to that. But I don't know if I see that happening more frequently. Like to the point where sports is with frequent, how often it happens. What, twice a week, 3 times a week? There's a team playing, and there's every day a football team's playing, but like your team might play 2-3 times a week.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'm sort of looking at past thing like in my head here. Past things that have people have said the same thing, like movies, for instance. I mean, yeah, grant they're not movies themselves. So like I said, I want to bring back the point of the Oscars. People sort of never thought that the Oscars would be taken over, but there is less people each and every year watching it. I think football will not right now.
Well, this
It'll
year would be
take
a bit different. This year is an exception for the Oscars, but
yeah, well, yeah, granted, but like I mean, I think unless they start introducing games into the Oscars for voice acting and stuff like that, and maybe
see it.
directing, huh?
I could see it happening.
Yeah, if unless they start introducing stuff like that there, I'd say the Oscars are just going to continue to lose viewers
Yeah,
because of how the world's moving forward.
yeah, I see it happening. To be honest with you,
Yeah,
sadly, but I do see it happening.
yeah, and I think
But
eventually football could potentially go down that route, but like I said, it'll take years before it even starts.
the football is just it's the greatest game about. Whether you think it or not, it's lasted what, like 200 years since the football league was created or something stupid. Like Rangers. And another example, just because I know what year they were formed, 1872.
Mhm.
And they have been football giants from 1872. And that really says it all for how long they have lasted at the top of world football.
Yeah, I would
It,
also like to note that this opinion of Lewis's is very biased, so take it with a grain of salt.
it's not even biased. I'm just using it as an example. Um, where if I knew Celtic State, I would use it as a reference, for example, or any sort of club. But that's the one that just comes to my head because I know they're 150 years old.
Yeah,
That's why it's a big occasion for them this year. So that's why I know that.
yeah,
But it's just one of those things I don't see happening. But before we get stuck in this paradox anymore, I'm going to move us on subject.
yeah.
So, recently we have been inquiring and questioning and sort of coming up with new ideas for how to expand the podcast further than what it is. Yes, we have some big guests coming up, and it's picking up again. For what's happening, we are planning to slow down how many episodes come out a week to two a month rather than 4 a month, just because this is coming up to a really busy season with my filming schedule for my documentary, and Adam's probably gonna have more shifts for work with tech and etc.
Mhm.
So we're just looking at the best possible way to make the most out of it, but not over push it. So we're going to be dropping it down to 2 episodes a month and see how that goes. And if it drops off again, we'll pick it back up every week. But it's more of a trial period to see how that goes.
Yeah.
But we're also looking into a studio. So at the minute, the YouTube side of this is a bit dead. I can't lie. It's just one image for like 40 odd minutes, unless there's a guest on that has their, video camera on. So we're looking to have a studio where we are both in the same room and, have different angles, different things, and see where we go with that. So it might not be for another couple months, but we'll see how it goes. Because, I wouldn't have expected us still to be going. What, nearly 5 months later? We were talking about this just before we started recording. We've been doing this for nearly about 5 months now.
Yeah, we looked at the sort of days that, or how long we've been doing this for, and it actually surprised me we're doing it for 19
18
weeks.
weeks. It would have been 19, but it's 18 now. Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's crazy the support we still get on the episodes. Because it's held up, which is very surprising that it's held up for as long as it has.
No, I mean, we just talk
waffle.
Waffle. That's it, just like anything and everything.
Quite literally, like there's nothing we do that's like different. Yes, the guest obviously is whenever it peaks a bit more, our waffle does drop down a bit, which is understandable, but it's still crazy the support we get, and I suppose it's just what you want to see and what you, I suppose, want to hear, and we can tell by the listenerships on those episodes. So on our Instagram, I've sort of been a bit more, what's the word, interactive with the viewers on it, etc. And I've sort of been promoting the guests we've had on the show with what they're doing and to sort of bring more attention to it. So I do recommend going on to the Instagram. That's where you'll hear things first, more than likely. I post on it a few times a week and it's always on the story. You'll find out about sort of upcoming guests. You'll have hints towards it, and previous guests, you'll see stuff about what they're getting up to and what they're in. Like, for example, Fola, I posted about her being in the new episode of Dairy Girls that came out on Tuesday. Yeah, and then, to do with Stephen gigs he is coming up, I sort of help him out with that. And it's just sort of a way of giving back, and you can just find out the latest info about, for example, last week we didn't have an episode. Instagram was the first to know about that. So if you want to keep up to date for exactly what we're getting up to, we will be posting on it more, Autumn as well. And just sort of see where that goes. But I think that's everything that we have to do with the studio and to do with the podcast itself. So you wanted to cover Sonic, so go ahead.
Yeah, so Sonic 2 sort of released. I'm not going to talk spoilers out there. If you haven't watched it or if you ever plan to watch it. Well, the moments in it that sort of follow his story as a character within, any sort of media itself was pretty cool. Like when I'm trying to think of how I can say this without spoiling it, but when that one specific moment happened, and if you've watched it, you'll know. If you don't, you don't. It's a thing. But when that one specific moment happened, and he changed the way he did, it was pretty cool to sort of see that. We've never seen that in a live action adaptation before, and to sort of see the way they handled it was pretty good. Like, and it was interesting. And the post credit scene for it, beautiful. And if they include the characters I think they're going to include with this one, we are going to have a movie and a half, and I just beg they up the rating a bit, just slightly, please.
What do you mean by that?
So I'm just gonna say it. So like Shadow was
Spoilers.
in the spoiler alert. Shadow was in the post credit scene. He came out as Project Shadow, and if we're going down the direction I think we're going, Rouge is also going to be in there. And those two are like sort of the darker characters. And if we can up the rating slightly to be a bit darker, it would be amazing. Because Shadow carries guns with him. Like in Shadow the Hedgehog, he had a gun. Like, I don't know why. He just ran around with a handgun, and that game was insane. Like it was like Sonic 06 but meets Shadow the Hedgehog. Oh, good stuff. But yeah, as well as that, the next point was the Sonic Origins, which was the Sonic 1, 2, 3, and Sonic CD are all getting remastered. You can play the original versions or you can play the remastered versions, and they have updated animations. They have custom sort of shorts and stuff like that there you can watch. They must have a like a gallery mode or something you can purchase stuff with rings, and rings obviously earned through the game itself, or a pre-order bonus gets you like 100 bonus rings to be able to go and buy stuff. But people are theorizing that they'll have 2 bonus characters, which most likely will be Metal Sonic from Sonic CD and Amy from just Sonic, which would be great, having 2 new characters that we've never had before in a game. But I mean, I can't really say we'll 100% get it. It's only a theory because of the spaces that are left. But Nintendo did the same thing with Mario Maker 2 when they said extra modes, and it was literally just 1 mode.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's the new thing. There was Sonic Frontiers, which still hasn't been released yet, but that game looks pretty cool. It's like a Breath of the Wild Sonic game, which is actually kind of awesome.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's both Sonic 2 and Sonic Origins, basically, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Thor Love and Thunder trailer released the other day. And both Adam and I have watched that trailer. I watched breakdowns because I'm a wee nerd when it comes to trailers and whatnot. And there's a lot of things basically in that trailer that if you haven't watched it a few times, you wouldn't even notice them. To do with like the hammer that's on the back of the truck going in the new Asgard, and how, if the filming of sets of Jane Foster going over to the hammer that was broken from Hela in, wasn't that Ragnarok?
Yep.
Yeah. To do with things like Taika Waititi's New Zealand flag at the conference to do with global emissions. Little stuff like that. If you don't pay attention, you don't see. But you had a few things you wanted to cover in that trailer, didn't you?
Well, just nothing really major, because we haven't got anything major from the thing. It was just talking about Jane Foster's new mighty Thor, which is obviously the female version of Thor. And it's the way that things going is obviously it's about Thor not wanting to become a god anymore. He wants to sort of settle down, and I think that the mighty Thor, Jane Foster, will take over as that role. So it'll still have like a Thor type character, but it'll just not be our Thor, if you get me.
Yeah. Well, if you don't know what sort of storyline they're going off 2 storylines from the comics. One is to do with Gore the God Butcher. And they actually got an image straight out of that comic in the movie where they're sitting on top of the rock and they're looking at the dead god in front of them, who was Thor's friend. And Gore the God Butcher, basically, he prayed to the gods for his family to stay alive, and they died. And so then he set his mission out to go kill all the gods. So Gore the God Butcher will be played by Christian Bale, who they didn't show in the trailer, but it is confirmed he will be Gore the God Butcher in this, which is quite weird seeing him going from the Dark Knight to Marvel, but he will be the main villain in that, and that's why they showed the likes of Zeus, who I can't remember who Zeus is played by, but they have that, and then they basically have to go fight him. And then the other storyline is to do with Jane Foster getting cancer, and Thor doesn't feel he's worthy for the hammer anymore, so he puts the hammer down, which was Mjolnir still in the comics, and then he went off, and then Jane Foster, the hammer chose her to be worthy because she had cancer, so it cures her cancer while she's still worthy of the hammer, but eventually whenever she becomes unworthy, she dies of cancer. So that's what the 2 storylines is that they've sort of merged into one here. So it'll be interesting to see how they fight Gore the God Butcher, because he is quite literally stronger than all the gods.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see that. And then the other trailer that came out, I think it's a new version of the trailer, and that is Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
So you wanted to cover that one too?
Yeah, so with the release of new Doctor Strange, I actually found out the new character that was in it. I never knew that it was what do you call her? What was it? No, not Zombie Wanda. Yeah, that America Chavez. I never actually knew about her character until you'd pointed her out.
She's been there from the first trailer.
Yeah, no, I knew who she was initially when I was looking over it. I was like, oh, is that Kamala Khan? Like already? All right, okay. And because I never knew the name, I didn't know who the actor was, and then I saw her and I was like, that's not Kamala. Like, who is that? And then you said it was America Chavez, and looking at her character, it is going to be one of the coolest things ever. She'll be able to, like, I don't know if we'll be going through her like we did with what do you call it? What If series. Maybe she'll give us an insight to more of the alternate universes, or at least open them up. But she seems like she's going to be a very influential character in terms of the multiverse.
Oh yeah, 100%. She
Um,
is in the comics.
yeah. We also have Madame Webb, which might be a character that's coming.
No,
She,
she's owned by Sony.
yeah. Well, so was Spider-Man.
Yeah, but it's not a mixed production. This one, it's just Marvel Studios. They have to have
Suppose.
Sony. I know it's going to be in the new Multiverse of Madness, or not Multiverse of Madness. My head's away. Into the Spider Verse or whatever the new one's called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well. Anyway. So I mean, it looks like a really interesting movie, and the fact we have like so many different versions of the characters we've already saw before, such as Dark Strange, Zombie Strange, Zombie Wanda from actual Zombie What If. We have then, I'd say there'll be some form of a Dark Wanda. I want to say, but if not, I mean, like it's all good. But I mean, it looks great. Um, I don't think it'll be the level of Spider-Man because Spider-Man was a very much um a fan. It was something built for the fans essentially, because it had so many references towards the old movies, shows, jokes, that sort of thing. And but I do think it'll do really well.
100%.
But yeah, I think we also had what was it? Do you have anything else to put on this?
I don't think so. No, I think that's everything.
I know we have a Stranger Things trailer to talk about.
Oh yes, that's right. Yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead whenever you're ready. You can talk about it since you just watched it again.
Yeah, no, I put some notes on that, and I mean, I was looking at some of the parts in it, such as the main villain itself. He seems to be entangled within the Upside Down, but yet
Yeah.
he has like some sort of like consciousness, unlike the Demogorgons have. The Demogorgons are just like cavemen; they go kill, eat, that sort of thing, and that's them. Whereas this new villain seems to be very much aware of what he is, who he is, and his purpose.
Yeah.
But I think he's related to 11 in some way because he seems to be sending these Demogorgons out almost as dogs ever since she's been about.
Oh yeah, and there's now bat Demogorgons too.
Oh yes, yeah. Like he's creating a whole new army just to deal with this. But like people are theorizing whether this could be, I think it was 0 or 1, more or less the first test subject, and was kicked through the portal or something like that there. But it'd be interesting to see that storyline because I know there's 2 parts of this. I know part 1's releasing on May 27th, wasn't it?
Part 1 comes out May 27th. Part 2 comes out the 1st of July.
Yeah. As well as that, we seen the actual prison Hopper was placed in as well. It was more a facility. It seemed to be like a prison-like facility at the back end of the portal because anything that got sent through the American area underneath the shopping center, they got put out into this Russian area, and they're made to fight the Demogorgons that crawl out of it. With spears, flamethrowers, that sort of, or not flamethrowers, flame tipped spears, that sort of thing. And it looks interesting.
Yeah, and every episode of Stranger Things cost $30 million.
Oh yes, no, I saw this. It was like $270 million to make the entire season.
Yeah, it's actually ridiculous.
Yeah, we also saw 11 losing her powers.
Oh yeah, they were in the trailer. They asked her to join the battle, and she's like, "I don't have my powers," and they were like, "Well, you're the only person that we could need to fight."
Yeah, like did she empty all of her power into closing that door at the end of season 3?
Yeah, that's why she has no powers left.
Oh yeah, and then finally we have a weird sort of like few seconds of a clip of Will standing similar to what 11 stood like behind the prison van when she was in the van.
Yeah,
could we
potentially this season, aren't they?
Yeah, they broke up after the last one. But could we potentially see Will getting powers?
I think that's a bit of a push, to be quite honest.
I don't know. I mean,
think that'll happen, but you never know.
yeah, no, it's the way he stood in it. I think it was Will, wasn't it? No, it's not Will. It wasn't Will. It was what do you call
Mike?
the guy? Mike. Yes, Mike. Yeah, and Mike was standing very like he was standing tall and straight behind the prison van. Now he may just be staring at it, but it's just the way he was standing was very similar to the way 11 stands. You know, when she's up to use her power.
It's definitely exciting. We've
Yeah.
waited what, like 2 years for it?
Oh yeah, like I think it was near the start of COVID when it came out.
It's about time they finally done it. Like
Yeah.
any longer, I think everyone would like kill them.
Yeah, I'm sort of glad it's it is coming out because it has taken a while. I'm excited to see what they've got in store for the final season.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think that covers everything for today, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you all for listening. Next week we do have a guest, and then it will be me and Adam before going to the 2-week format, as we previously said. So yeah, thank you all so much for listening. I guess we'll see you next week.